Okay, so we've all been there, haven't we? You get this like huge burst of motivation. You think, right, this is it. I'm finally going to get that promotion, or eat healthier, maybe lose some weight, actually save some money this time. You're revved up, aiming for perfection, ready for this big life change. And then, well, it just doesn't quite stick, does it? Often it's just the first few weeks, maybe even days, and you find yourself just throwing your hands up, putting the toddler in front of Frozen again for the third time that day. And that healthy eating streak, gone. Hello, double chocolate brownie. We've all been there.
Oh, absolutely. It's way more common than people realize. And the key thing really is that you are not the problem here. The difficulty is just the sheer scale of change we often aim for with these big goals. They demand massive shifts to habits that are already, deeply ingrained. And what we know about the brain now, well, large-scale behavioral changes like that, they're just not easy. What's really wild is how much of our life runs on autopilot. Duke University researchers found something like over 40% of our daily actions are unconscious habits. It reminds me of that David Foster Wallace fish story, what the hell is water? Our habits are just like that. They're so fundamental, so baked in, they're basically hidden in plain sight.
So yeah, it can feel pretty hopeless then. Like, how do you even start to change things if it's all unconscious? But here's where it gets really interesting and actually quite hopeful. It doesn't have to be this monumental struggle. The trick, and this is what we're diving into today from Akash Karia's The Habit Project, is having a solid strategy and crucially manageable goals. Goals that don't just completely drain your willpower on day one. So our mission today, we're going to unpack his proven 9-step blueprint for making changes that actually last. We'll show you how targeting these things called keystone habits can create huge transformations, often in just 5 or 10 minutes a day. All right, let's dig right into that core idea then, the magic of small habits. What exactly are they and why are they so effective?
Right. The genius here isn't just that they're small or easy, it's that they kind of bypass your brain's resistance. Small habits are actions so tiny they take almost zero willpower, so success is practically guaranteed. B.J. Fogg at Stanford, he calls these tiny habits. He really emphasizes taking baby steps for long-term change. Think about it. Read for just 10 minutes. Do, say, 2 push-ups. Drink 1 small glass of water with lunch. Floss 1 tooth.
Just 1 tooth.
Yeah,
Seriously?
just 1. Or laugh out loud once. Sounds silly, maybe, but that tiny action, like flossing 1 tooth, well, you're already holding the floss, right? So maybe you do another one or a few more. It starts this positive cascade almost without you realizing it.
Okay, that makes sense. Making it almost too easy not to do it. But beyond just being easy, what's the deeper psychology? What makes them actually stick?
Well, there are 3 key reasons they work so well psychologically. First, because they need minimal willpower, you avoid that burnout cycle. You know, the one where you go all in on some huge goal, crash after a few days, feel terrible, and give up.
Yeah, definitely know that one.
Small habits prevent that. You're left with willpower reserves, so you can build gradually without depleting yourself. Second, they give you small wins. Even completing a tiny task, like doing those 2 push-ups, gives you this surprisingly big sense of accomplishment. It's like crossing something off a to-do list, right?
Yeah.
Your brain likes that feeling, associates it with the action, and wants more. It's a built-in motivation boost.
Okay. Like a little dopamine hit.
Exactly. And third, and this is maybe the most profound part, they generate momentum and actually start to shift your identity. As you keep doing these small things, keep getting these small wins, your motivation snowballs. B.J. Fogg puts it really well. He says, you watching yourself succeed, seeing yourself perform new behaviors shifts your identity, and that creates ripple effects.
Yeah.
You literally start seeing yourself differently, not as the lazy person who wants to exercise but can't, but maybe as, that healthy, active person.
Okay, and this, I think, is where it gets really powerful. Connecting these small habits to what the source calls keystone habits. What's the difference there? And why are keystone habits considered so, potent?
Right. So a keystone habit, this is a concept Charles Duhigg explored a lot. Think of it as the first domino in a chain reaction. It's a small change, often, but it triggers other positive changes in totally different areas of your life. The key distinction from just any small habit is that ripple effect. A small habit is a win just by doing it. A keystone habit is only a keystone if it actually causes those other changes to happen. It's defined by its impact, not necessarily its size.
Okay, so it's about the downstream effects.
Precisely. It multiplies its own benefits.
Can you give us some examples? What does a keystone habit look like in the real world?
Sure. Exercise is probably the classic example. Even just a little bit regularly can seriously boost your confidence, your energy, and that often leads to waking up earlier, maybe making healthier food choices, being more productive at work, even at home. It just cascades.
Yep.
Another surprising one, making your bed.
Making your bed. Really?
Yeah. It sounds trivial, but doing it first thing in the morning, it acts as that small win we talked about. And research actually links it to better productivity, feeling happier, even better budgeting skills, strangely enough.
Huh. Better budgeting.
Seems so. Plus, it just makes the whole room feel tidier, right? Which is another small win right there. And it's not just personal either. Think about Paul O'Neill at Alcoa, the aluminum company. He focused intensely on worker safety as the keystone habit, just safety. And that single focus triggered changes across the whole company. Communication improved, processes got better, and their annual net income went up like 500% over his tenure, all stemming from that one focus on safety.
Wow. Okay, so the message here for you listening is that combining these tiny, almost effortless small habits with the right keystone habits, that's where the potential for really significant life-altering change lies, which naturally leads to the big question: how long does this actually take? How long to form a new habit? Because we've all heard that magic number, 21 days. Is that real?
The 21-day myth. Yeah, it's mostly myth, unfortunately. Or at least, an oversimplification. It comes from a plastic surgeon back in the 50s, Maxwell Maltz. He noticed it took his patients about 21 days, but crucially, a minimum of 21 days.
Minimum. Okay.
Yeah, a minimum. To mentally adjust to big physical changes like getting used to a new face after surgery or adjusting to an amputation, not feeling a phantom limb anymore. Somewhere along the line, that minimum part got dropped, and 21 days became this kind of magic number everyone quotes.
So if it's not 21 days, what does the actual more recent research tell us? What's a more realistic time frame?
Okay, so a key study was done in 2009 by Dr. Philip Allally at University College London. They followed 96 volunteers trying to form new habits. And what they found was that, on average, it took 66 days for a new behavior to feel automatic.
66 days.
2 months, basically.
Pretty much, but, and this is really important, that's just the average.
Yeah.
The actual range in the study was huge. It went anywhere from 18 days for some people and some habits, all the way up to 254 days for others.
Wow, 254 days. That's
Yeah.
a long time. It can be. It really depends on the person and the complexity of the habit.
So the source suggests framing this as a 66-day challenge. Why is using that number, 66 days, psychologically helpful compared to just saying, I'll do this forever?
Well, because forever is just daunting, isn't it? It feels overwhelming. But committing to something for 66 days, that sounds like a challenge, yeah, but a surmountable one. It gives you a finish line, a light at the end of the tunnel that makes it easier to stay persistent when things get tough. So the advice is, pick just one keystone habit you want to build. Maybe it's exercise, maybe cooking healthy meals, maybe that gratitude journal, and commit to doing it consistently for that 66-day period. See what happens.
Okay, strategy 4. Let's get fundamental here. The source brings up Freud, believe it or not, and the pain-pleasure principle. Sounds kind of heavy, but how does it apply to, like, sticking to your gym routine?
It's actually super relevant, despite the Freud connection maybe sounding a bit dated. The core idea is simple. Humans are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. That's a fundamental drive, and it directly impacts habits. Why do we often fail those New Year's resolutions? Because our brain links the action, like dragging yourself to the gym, with pain, or at least discomfort and effort, so we avoid it.
Right. Easier to stay on the couch.
Exactly. Binge watching that show, immediate pleasure, zero effort. Whereas tackling that big work project might feel like pain in the moment. Our brain defaults to the easy pleasure.
So if we're wired like that, how do we possibly hack the system? How do we make the painful habit feel, well, less painful or even pleasant? Is it just about gritting your teeth?
Gritting your teeth only gets you so far. The smarter way is to strategically use a reward system. There's this great story about Dan Ariely, the Duke psychology professor. He had hepatitis C and needed these really painful interferon injections, awful side effects. He was basically the only patient his doctors knew who consistently stuck to the treatment. How? He set up a reward system. After each injection, he'd immediately watch one of his favorite movies, something he genuinely loved but normally wouldn't just indulge in.
Ah, okay. So he tied the pain to a guaranteed pleasure.
Precisely. So to make this work for you, there are a few key things. 1, make the habit itself more fun if you can. Like if running is boring, make an amazing playlist, find a running buddy you enjoy talking to, cooking, pour a glass of wine, put on music. 2, choose a reward you really love. The pleasure has to genuinely outweigh the perceived pain or effort of the habit.
It needs to be worth it.
Totally. 3, visualize that reward. Get excited about it beforehand. 4, constantly remind yourself you only get the reward if you do the habit. That link needs to be strong. 5, enjoy the reward immediately after finishing the habit. Don't delay it. And 6, this is critical, penalize failure. You have to have the discipline to withhold the reward if you skip the habit.
Ooh, the tough love part.
Yep. And maybe even set up a consequence. Pay a friend $10, do a chore for your partner you hate, but the absolute key is you must follow through on those consequences. And then, importantly, figure out why you failed so you can adjust your plan. It's not just about punishment.
Okay, that makes sense. Moving on to strategy 5, if-then planning. It sounds almost like coding for your brain. How does it work?
Yeah, it kind of is like coding. It's also called implementation intentions, and it's strongly associated with Peter Gollwitzer, a psychology professor at NYU. The idea is you pre-plan your response to a specific situation or cue. You create a script. If X happens, then I will do Y. So instead of deciding in the moment, you've already made the decision. For example, if I hang my towel on the hook after my shower, that's the cue, X, then I will immediately do 3 push-ups, that's the action, Y.
So it takes the decision-making out of it when you're tired and distracted.
Exactly. It removes the friction, the need for willpower in that moment. You just follow the script you already wrote.
And the results on this are pretty striking, aren't they? It's not just a nice idea.
Oh, the research is incredibly strong. There was one study with German participants who had to write an essay over the holidays, the group that used if-then planning. They were 3 times more likely to actually do it, like 71% success versus only 32% for those who just had the intention.
3 times. Wow.
Yeah. Another one looked at exercise routines. 91% of the if-then planners stuck with it, compared to only 39% of the others.
91 versus 39. That's huge.
It is. And there is something like 100 other studies showing similar results. It just works. It basically hardwires your brain to perform the desired action automatically when the cue appears. It puts the habit on autopilot.
Okay, so it's a really powerful tool. But is there a catch, a way this can go wrong?
There is one important caveat. Avoid using negative if-then goals. Like, don't plan. If I get bored, then I will not eat a snack.
Why not? Seems logical.
Because mentioning the thing you want to avoid, eat a snack, actually focuses your brain on it, making it harder to resist. It's like saying, don't think of a pink elephant.
Okay. You're priming the pump for the wrong thing.
Exactly. Instead, frame it positively. If I get bored, then I will read for 5 minutes. Or if I get bored, then I will drink a glass of water. Focus on the desired replacement action.
Right. Redirect the impulse. Okay, strategy 6, mindset. We hear just believe in yourself all the time. But the source argues pure optimism might actually be unhelpful. That sounds really counterintuitive.
It does sound odd, doesn't it? Because optimism is generally good. It helps people enjoy things more, be more persuasive, perform better, like those salespeople selling 37% more. But there's a potential downside to just positive thinking, especially when it comes to achieving goals. Psychology professor Gabriel Eddingen found that simply fantasizing about achieving a goal can actually trick your brain.
Trick it how?
It makes your brain feel like you've already achieved it. So that feeling of accomplishment reduces your motivation, your energy, your readiness to actually do the work needed to get there. In one of her studies, college students who just positively fantasized about their week actually felt less energized and accomplished less than those who didn't.
So just dreaming about success can make you less likely to achieve it. That's wild. What's the alternative then? What is the right mindset?
The optimal mindset is what Oettingen calls mental contrasting, or what the source terms realistic optimism. It means you think positively about the future, you visualize that success, but you also simultaneously, realistically consider the obstacles that might get in your way.
So positive vision plus obstacle planning.
Exactly. And her research shows this approach actually energizes people and leads to better results. In one study on healthy eating and exercise, people who used mental contrasting, who thought about the benefits and the potential pitfalls and how to handle them, they exercised twice as much and ate significantly more veggies 4 months later compared to the pure optimists.
Okay, so how do we put this realistic optimism into practice? What are the steps for you listening?
It's a simple 3-step process, really. First, yes, visualize success. Take a few moments, really indulge in imagining achieving your habit. Feel how good it feels. Let yourself enjoy that positive vision. Second, then shift gears and imagine the obstacles. Be realistic. What could actually derail you? Oversleeping, feeling sore, attempting social invitation, work deadlines. Think specifically about your likely challenges.
So anticipate the roadblocks.
Right. And third, briefly identify a few potential solutions or workarounds for those obstacles. You don't need a perfect plan for everything, but just thinking, okay, if I oversleep, I'll do a shorter workout later, or if I get invited out, I'll eat healthy beforehand. It prepares you mentally.
So it moves beyond just believe in yourself to something more like believe in yourself, but also pack a parachute just in case.
That's a great way to put it. Reach for the stars, but pack a parachute. It builds resilience, not just hope.
Okay, strategies 7 and 8 are about the power of people and place, your friends and your environment. Sounds a bit basic maybe, but the source really hammers this home. Friends can make or break habits.
Absolutely. It might sound cliche, but our social environment is incredibly influential. Working on a goal with a friend, it just makes it more fun, for starters. But more importantly, it adds accountability. It's way harder to skip that morning run or back out of that writing session if you know someone else is counting on you, right?
Yeah, you don't want to let them down.
Exactly. When choosing that accountability partner, try to find someone whose habits or qualities you admire, and make sure they're willing to give you that tough love when needed, but also be supportive. And be clear about what kind of support actually helps you.
And it doesn't have to be just one-on-one, does it? Groups can be powerful too.
Definitely. Joining a group with a shared goal, think Weight Watchers, a book club, a writers group, even Alcoholics Anonymous can be incredibly effective. You get that shared interest, a bit of positive peer pressure, and that feeling of collective support. You're not alone in the struggle.
And to really lock in that accountability, the source mentions something simple, writing your goals down and sharing them.
Yeah, it sounds almost too simple, but the data backs it up. That Dominican University study found people who wrote down their goals achieved about 50% more, just writing them down.
50% more. Wow.
And it got even better if they publicly committed, told someone else, and sent weekly progress reports to a friend. Even just posting on social media like, off to the gym can work. You create that public expectation. You don't want to publicly fail. And again, the idea of picking a consequence for failure comes up, paying that $10, doing the chore. But the absolute key is following through if you mess up.
Okay, so that's the people part. What about the place part? Shaping your environment.
Right. Think of it like this. You wouldn't try to grow a tropical plant in the Arctic, would you? Your environment has to support the habit you're trying to grow.
Makes sense. You need the right conditions.
Exactly. So, practical tips. First, make the environment enjoyable. If the gym feels like a dungeon, find a beautiful park to run in. If cooking feels like a chore, make your kitchen a place you like, being music, good lighting, whatever works. Second, actively eliminate distractions. What usually pulls you off track? Junk food in the cupboard, phone notifications pinging, TV. Identify them and remove them or change your routine. If you always fall asleep reading in bed, maybe read on the couch earlier.
Be honest about your triggers.
Totally. And third, prepare everything in advance. Reduce the friction to starting. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Plan your meals and shop on the weekend. Chop veggies ahead of time. Thaw the meat. The easier you make it to start the habit, the more likely you are to actually do it.
Okay, final strategy number 9. The Seinfeld way in persistence. This is about tracking, right? Creating that visual team.
Yeah, exactly. Think about how motivating winning streaks are in sports, right? Rafael Nadal's 81 wins on clay, or even just a sign in a factory, 146 days without an injury. There's power in that visual continuity. So, the Seinfeld way. Apparently, Jerry Seinfeld, the comedian, used this method for writing jokes. He got a big wall calendar, and every day he did his writing task, he put a big red X on that day. His only goal then became, don't break the chain.
Well, don't break the chain. Simple.
Super simple, but powerful. Seeing that unbroken chain of X's, it makes skipping a day feel really uncomfortable. It motivates you to keep the streak going. It's visual proof of your consistency.
But life happens. You will eventually miss a day, right? Nobody's perfect. What then? Does the chain break and you just give up?
And that is where the second part of the strategy comes in. Persistence. This is absolutely crucial. Giving up is not the answer when you miss a day. Think about learning to ride a bike you expect to fall, right?
Yeah, falling is part of learning.
Exactly. It's the same with habits. You will stumble. The key is not to beat yourself up about it. Learn from why you missed the day, if you can. Then, brush yourself off and immediately start a new chain the very next day. The goal then becomes making the new chain even longer than the last one. It's about resilience, not perfection. It really begs the question for you listening. How will you handle it when you inevitably miss a day? What's your plan to get right back on track?
So putting it all together, habit formation, it's not necessarily easy in the sense of requiring no effort, but the process itself, the blueprint, it's actually pretty simple, isn't it? Applying these 9 strategies, maybe just for
5 or 10 minutes a day on those small habits can genuinely pave the way for massive changes.
Mhm.
We've really seen today how powerful this combination is, the tiny leverage of small habits, amplified by the ripple effect of the right keystone habits. It can reshape so much.
Absolutely. Just to quickly recap that blueprint, start small, ridiculously small if needed. Pick those high-leverage keystone habits. Commit to the 66-day challenge for structure. Hack your motivation with rewards and the pain-pleasure principle. Automate with if-then planning. Adopt that realistic optimist mindset plan for obstacles. Get accountability from friends or groups. Engineer your environment for success. And track your progress visually, like Seinfeld. Always remembering to persist, not demand perfection. It's about stacking those good habits one day at a time.
So we really encourage you, maybe even right now, think about one keystone habit you want to build.
Yeah.
What's one tiny, manageable step using these ideas that you could take today, right after this deep dive?
And maybe just consider this. How might even the smallest positive shift, if you apply it consistently, not just change that one habit, but actually ripple outwards and reshape your entire future, maybe creating a life you hadn't even thought possible?
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive.